Okay, so next thing put some pressure on me, and people have a high expectation from this talk, but there's nothing fancy, just JavaScript. So the end of the bragging. So then, the JavaScript has a funny sort of history in the way it kind of all of a sudden become an adult from the teenager. And people start using it all the places and trying to write everything in JavaScript, even something which means everything in JavaScript. And we had a fight. I remember when I started back in, I don't know, 1998, when I taught JavaScript, and everybody was laughing at me. And back then, when you say that you are a JavaScript developer, it's the same as you say I build porn sites. Because that's where it was used most of the time. And nobody take it seriously, nobody really does anything, and I should career of JavaScript developer, and everyone's friend of mine told me, like, you're a serious idiot. You should go and do Java. Java is the future. JavaScript is like... And then Ajax boom, bish, and we suddenly became useful. So, it's still most misunderstood language, like Douglas Roper called it. After all these years, after all this fighting, we win again. JavaScript became a language from big L. People started to take it seriously. Then Node.js happened. Then people were like, yeah, that's real deal. The JavaScript is JavaScript. Everybody jumped on JavaScript, from Java, from Ruby, from wherever, from Python. But doing JavaScript and writing JavaScript, and yet, when you look at the scripts, when you look at the code, and especially on discussions about stuff, you can see that people don't really know what they're doing. And that's very upsetting. It's still most misunderstood language. When you go to the web, you have no choice. You have to use JavaScript. There are like some analog Java language and other things. But still, at the moment, you have no choice. You have to know JavaScript. And that's upsetting many people because not everybody likes JavaScript. When you go on server, you can write in Java, Ruby, again, whatever, and JavaScript again. But on the client, you basically have to do JavaScript. And I think, like, I don't see a problem with that, but I guess because I know a bit of the language. But it's still quite upsetting to watch people kind of trying to fix a problem which doesn't exist. Trying like, yeah, you bring some other language. JavaScript has issues. JavaScript has that issue, that issue. Well, JavaScript is very flexible. And this flexibility of JavaScript is sometimes taken as a bad thing. And people kind of don't understand that. Yeah, you can write things in JavaScript the way you used in Java or the way you used some other language, but that's not the point. So I will compare JavaScript with a human body. Just like with your body, you have no choice. You got what you got. And most of the time, you don't like what you got. And most of the time, you either think that you are fat, or you're too skinny, or you're unfit, or you're too fit, or you're not, your nose is big, your ears are big. But you have no choice, right? But you have plenty of options. Like, your body is capable of many things. And the question is, would you like to sit and whinge about the fact that your body is not capable of flying, X-ray vision, any other superpower, you name it? Or you just basically start using your body and learn how to use it to the full. And when I'm talking about using body to the full, the co-founder of Nike, Bill Bowman, said, if you have a body, you are an athlete. So basically, you can't say, oh, I'm not really an athlete. It's like in design, they know you can't do something without design. You could only do something with bad design. The same as here. If you have a body, you are an athlete. You could be a shitty athlete, but you are one. And as an analogy, if you code for the web, you are a JavaScript developer. You can't really avoid touching JavaScript nowadays. But if you're touching JavaScript, how dare you to touch it without knowing what you're doing? I mean, you're not touching other languages. Like, if you don't code in Lisp, for example, you wouldn't touch it unless you will read how to use it properly. With JavaScript, it's like playing guitar. Everybody thinks, like, oh, yeah, I know how to do it. Yeah, just like this. It's not really working. So when I talk about the body or the language, basically the most important thing is the control. Can you control what's going on? Just like with your body, if you can stand on one leg, that's control, right? So you control your body by standing on one leg or balancing. But if you do handstand, that's another level of control. But it's still quite low level of control. I'm talking about this level of control. That's a static positioning. It's possible to hold your body like that. But your JavaScript level should be like that. Because learning JavaScript is much easier than learning this trick. Because you can train your brain much faster than you could train your muscle, tendons, and joints. The gymnasts spend, like, I don't know, decades to learn to be able to control their body this way. You don't have to spend decades to learn to control JavaScript like that. So why you not, basically? So why you unfit? And that's a good question to ask the room full of geeks. Because we geeks, we embrace our unfitness. It's part of our style. It's part of our, I'm a geek. I am slimmy, I can do push-ups, and I wear glasses with a big, I'm a geek. Or I'm fat and I don't like the personal hygiene, whatever. That's a cliche that the world created for us, and we kind of like to accept it and match it. It's like, yeah, I'm geek because I'm smart. I'm not strong, but I'm smart. Well, that's a stupid way of approaching. So the same question is, why your JavaScript still sucks? And the answer is pretty much the same. Everybody will, if you ask the person, like, you wrote this JavaScript, why it's bad? Like, oh, there are different issues. There are usually the problem has two parts. One part is the personal issues, another part is community issues. So let's talk about personal issues for the beginning. So I don't know JavaScript or I am unfit because this is not important. Yes. Well, you have only one body. If you can't use it, then you suck. And why it's not important to care for the only thing you have? The JavaScript, it can't be, you can't say it's not important. That's just silly, just playing silly. Like, this is not important. I have more important things to do. And okay, this is just silly answer. I don't need it anymore because there is a CoffeeScript, because there is a Dart, because there is some other compiler from my favorite language to JavaScript. Well, that's another way of being silly. Like, yes, you don't need to be as strong as Olympic gymnasts nowadays because you don't need to be strong in general in our world nowadays because strength is not the survival skills anymore, unless in some, areas. But in our contemporary life, it's okay. You could be weak. You could be as weak as a snail. You still should survive. And could be successful. It's not really a reason to be weak, because there are situations in life when nothing else matters but your strength. The same in JavaScript. No matter how far you could try to put yourself away from JavaScript by covering with some compilers, whatever, the day will come when you have an issue, and the issue will be JavaScript, and only knowledge of JavaScript will help you to solve it. Whatever, you use GWT,
You will face it later or soon. You have to go and make your hands dirty with the JavaScript. You can't avoid it. That's a favorite. I'm good enough. That's like, it's not really common in fitness. Nobody will say, oh, I'm strong enough. But in JavaScript, it seems like everybody thinks that they're strong enough. I've been on JavaScript interviews for 2.5 years. Was interviewed, I don't know, maybe 100-something people. And most of them failed. Well, 100 at least. And most of the time, I never seen anybody who come on the interview and feel uncomfortable and feel, I don't really know JavaScript, but I will try my best. People usually come and say, come on, hit me. Come on, bring it on. I wrote some complicated jQuery application with Ajax. Challenge me. Come on, challenge me. Like, okay, what's the closure? It's a library by Google. Okay, thanks for your time. So you're not good enough. It's like if you ask, you can't find a person who would say like, well, I'm very strong. So why you think that you are very good at JavaScript? It's way too complicated. It's not. And I don't have time for this. Oh, that's just excuse, right? I don't have time for this. I don't have time for being fit because I'm too busy writing JavaScript, for example. This is Kyle Maynard, the MMA fighter. So why I'm suddenly talking about him? Well, he's very inspirational person. He not only participates in MMA fights, he's also doing the motivational speaks. And he's very good motivational speaker. And to understand what's so awesome about this guy. So the guy actually fights in MMA fights, going to the cage and fight with people. Nothing amazing, right? He's on the left. So he's extremely disabled person. He pretty much has no hands and no legs. And yet, he fights in MMA and wins time to time. I mean, really. And he trained to be like that. He not just go there and do this stuff just because he's so unique. He just wants to be a MMA fighter. No, you have to be, strong enough. So he trains. If he trains, what are your excuses, really? I mean, he probably, if he look at you, he was like, you have 2 hands, 2 legs, and you just sit on your butt all day long? If he could have hands and legs, he could probably do even more. No excuses. There are no excuses to suck at anything, including the JavaScript. So there are no shortcuts. And if you want to know JavaScript, you have to write JavaScript a lot, more than you think. And the same with fitness. There are no shortcuts. There are no like some magic pill you drink and you suddenly become strong. We as a society want to have shortcuts. We want to like, oh, I will just use this machine. I will work on this complicated machine and I will be strong. I will use some of this amazing tool and I don't need to know JavaScript anymore. That's bullshit, right? That's no way to avoid this. You have to do JavaScript. And if you want to be strong, you have to go and do push-ups, damn it. And that's as easy as that. The problem again is that people don't really understand how much they suck at JavaScript in particular, and that's why they don't really try to improve their JavaScript. Because you could get away with very low level of language. You could just write jQuery, attach event, run some function, detach event. Okay, done. It's working. It's good. You have your salary, boss likes you, you feel awesome. You suck. I'm not saying that everyone in this room sucks. No, I didn't. But there are I would say there are 6 essential things you have to know about JavaScript to consider yourself at least good enough to start with. I mean, it's not means that you're awesome, it not means you're amazing in JavaScript, but it means that you could call yourself, yeah, I know JavaScript, kind of. I'm okay. I will call it six-pack. Just like six-pack, it doesn't really tell that you are strong, but it means that you are kind of fit. So the first thing, the types and type coercion. In JavaScript, you have different types of variables, and they turn into one into other. And you need to know how they turn one into other. There are 6 types. And anyone who will tell you otherwise, just a moron. There are 6 types. Null is not an object, okay? And undefined is not an object. They're different types. And you just need to remember that. I wouldn't go too much into details because there will be a lot of speakers after me who are going to probably cover this, and I don't really want to take their bread. You need to be able to answer all these questions like that, if you are a JavaScript developer, of course. This is salt and butter. It's not something complicated. It's easy. You just need to remember this. You just need to, sit and learn it once, and it will be easy. You should be able to answer any of this. Easy. Because it's easy. Second, operators, especially plus and double equals. Again, know your operators of JavaScript and know how they react on type coercion and what's happening. You should be able to answer this easily. You should be able to understand why 0 double equals false is true. 0 double equals null is true, but null double equals false is false. Yeah, it's silly. It looks silly, and it probably is. It's probably these bad parts of the language. They shouldn't stop you to be cool at it. And it's really easy if you just learn the bloody spec, really. Just read it. Who read the specification? Who read the ECMAScript spec? Higher, be proud. Well, you should all raise your hands, right? That's how it should be. What you should know about type of operator, and it's operator, it's not a function, not a method. The type of lies in 2 cases. There's 2 cases. So type of null equals object, it's a lie. Type of null should be null. And type of function equals function, it's another lie. It should be object. But it's kind of useful. Number 3, objects and primitives. Again, they're very, very common knowledge that everything in JavaScript is an object. It's a bullshit. Not everything. There are primitives and there are objects. And the easy way to see it is code like this. So if you create a variable a, which is string, and you could access its length property. So it's kind of object, right? So you could put dot length and it gives you something. So it should be object. It's object-like. Some people say, oh, it's object-like. It's object-like. I could use it like an object. OK, you put a.t equals 3. You put new property on a equals 3. Everything's fine. You alert a.t. Who know what will be alerted? Obviously not 3. It will be undefined. And your homework to understand why is that. I will not tell you. But if you understand this, you understand the difference between objects and prototypes. And if you don't, then you don't understand the difference. Functions and constructors. That's kind of easy. You should understand that function in JavaScript has 3 phases. It could be used as a function, basically the piece of code you could run with some attributes. It could be used as an object to be passed over here, there. And it could be used as a constructor to create new objects. There's 3 different ways to use a function. It's operates kind of different in all its ways. Not rocket science, really. Closures, again, you should understand that every function in JavaScript is a closure. Basically, it keeps reference to the context. This is usually the task I give on the interview. I don't write the top, I just ask them to write me the function which will behave like this. So you could call it add 3, 4, and it will give me 7. And this is an answer on top. It's very simple. I usually do it with pen and paper. If you know the closures, you could write it with a pen. If you don't know the closures, nothing going to help you. And usually when people write, I say, okay, so how this function inside, which returned from the first functions, know about A, which is that it's 3. And that's when the person should say magic word closure somewhere and explain how it works. You should know that. If you don't know that, you don't know JavaScript, really. Number 6, prototype. Who understands how prototypes works in JavaScript? Yes. Okay. It's very simple, okay? I will actually explain how prototypes work in 5 minutes. So now pay attention, especially if you don't know how they work, because I will not repeat it. So every time you create a function in JavaScript creates a satellite object next to the function. So actually 2 objects will be created at this moment. And this object is prototype object. And it's connected to the function by property prototype. So function.prototype will point to this object. This object is created just in case if you will use your function as a constructor. If you never use your function as a constructor, it will never be used. But if you do, it will play its role. So let's assume I create the function f, and I want to actually use it as a constructor. So I extend the prototype. It's an empty object by default. I extend it with an x equals 3. So now the prototype has x equals 3. I create new object a. Now, A has a connection to prototype. It's a dotted line because as a developer, in ECMAScript 3 at least, you can't really access this connection. When you grab the object A, you have no idea who is his prototype. You can't get access to the prototype object. So when I ask A.x, it will tell me 3. Because A doesn't have it, it will go to the prototype chain. The chain goes further, but let's just don't think too much about it. So I extend object A, I put there x and y, and x equals 2 and y equals 1. Now if I ask for x, it will tell me 2, because now it's property of an object itself. It's clear. Well, it's easy. We create another object, b. If I ask b for x, it will tell me 3. If I ask a for x, it will tell me 2. Now important. I say f prototype equals another object, which has z equals 0. As you can see, the line between f and p is broken now, and now f is connected to p2, another prototype. And it's not wavy because it's object which I created. It's not something that JavaScript created for me on behind the scene. Now I create object c from f. If I ask c for z, it will tell me 0. If I ask c for x, it will tell me undefined. So you could see that we have 3 objects created by the same constructor, and they're all very different. That's JavaScript. Constructor doesn't really matter. The bonus is you need to understand that f.constructor, b.constructor equals to f, while c.constructor will be equals to object. And I leave it as a homework to understand why. I hope you all understood this. This is prototypes. That's all. If you didn't get it, I will put this the presentation will be available. You should go through it again. That's as simple as that, basically. It's just objects. There are plenty of objects, and you just juggle the objects around. And you should know this. And you should understand this it's JavaScript paradox. The function constructor equals to function. It's coming back. And you should understand why it's that. And that should be, it should be like 1 plus 1 equals 2 for you. If you're writing JavaScript, of course. And you write JavaScript if you're doing anything for the web. So let's talk about the community issues with being unfit or being bad at JavaScript. So even if you know the language, and you start writing with it, basically nobody knows what to do with the language. The Java or C++ have a long history of methodologies how to write things object-oriented way. And there are like lots of books written on it. Lots of academical research, how to structure your programs better, how to do things better, all these patterns, schmatterns, everything. They're like huge industry. People make money on this. And the people knows what to do, in general at least. With JavaScript, you can follow the same path, but you don't have to. You could follow other path. You could follow something else path. You could create your own path. But the problem that nobody really knows the best practices. The work hasn't been done because JavaScript became popular too fast, and nobody really was serious about it for years, and now suddenly it's popular, and nobody does any research, and nobody knows how to use it. Like, should I use it this way, or should I use it this way? And that's why people put the constraints and build stuff with the constraints, and they don't know how to build the applications with JavaScript most of the time. They're just trying, they're guessing. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's try this. There's no authority which will tell, this is the way. Do this. And I will not tell you this way, because I don't know this way. Talking about body. We have people have a perception of what the fit person is look like, right? Which one is the fittest? I guess probably this guy, right? Yeah, he's. Well, this is a problem with us. We can't really, we don't understand what we're doing. We don't understand nothing about fitness, but we still judge people how they fit or not. On this picture, there are 4 people. 3 of them are Olympic athletes, which participate in Olympic game. They are fit. And 1 is a bodybuilder. And so the guy on the left, he is a runner for long distances. This guy is a weightlifter, and this is a gymnast. And I'm pretty sure the gymnast could kick ass of this guy many times. But he looks not as impressive, because he wasn't really care about how he looked. He was training the strength, and strength to the body weight. This guy just caring about strength without caring about body weight, because he just needs to push things around, while the gymnast pushes himself around. And this guy doesn't care about strength at all, but he could run very fast and very long. And this guy just looked good. So when we're writing applications, we sometimes falling into the trap to just look good. I write in CoffeeScript and use less and sus and humble and everything else because it's so cool right now. I mean, I don't mind you to do anything on this if you understand why you're doing this, not just because it's cool. Because so many people actually do it because it's so cool. It's like this hipster thing, like, yeah, I'm doing this because it's cool, because it's unusual. Different goals demand different approaches. If your application is doing just this, you should build your application for this. If your application is doing just that, you should build it like that. You don't have to event-based architecture if you have 2 buttons and they just submit a form. You don't have to use humble or sus or anything for that if you just that small. The same is opposite. If you have to use this, you have to use this. Again, you work in a team that also demands. If your team is okay to go to the CoffeeScript, fine. If your team doesn't want to go to CoffeeScript, don't scream and kick, because you don't have to go to CoffeeScript, actually. And form always follow the function. So don't target the form. Target the functionality of your applications. People go to gym nowadays, don't become stronger, just to become bigger. That's so silly. Like, really, why? I am the tiniest person in the room probably. I don't really give a shit about it. But it's not important how the application looks like. It's not important what the architecture you use. It's important what the functionality it gives you. And you should choose the architecture which provides the best functionality. We as a community have no idea how to do this. We should teach each other. We should learn. With this six-pack, who actually knew everything I told about six-pack? One? Damn, you suck. Really, guys, come on. I mean, yeah, if you do something about it. Ask this guy. Ask me. Okay, ask me. There will be at least 2 more people in the room. It's already be good. Ask somebody who understands something about this six-pack and ask him to teach you this stuff. Double the number of people who could raise their hands. Next year, we should all raise their hands. Do something about it. Do something about it. It's not cool. It's not fun. You should do something about it. You should learn this stuff. This is JavaScript. Come on. You have to live with this language for a while. You like it or not. This is our current representation of the good-looking guy. Oh, I didn't put any women here, but let's talk about guys. So we think this is how the person should look like. This is a strong guy. And I think he's strong, and he's strong. And we have perception of being this big. When people go to the gym, and people like me go to the gym and they're like, I want to be like this guy. Yeah. The problem is, well, I will never be like this guy, no matter what I will do. Unless I sit on steroids, which I will never do. So you don't have to be that guy. Only few people, and I don't think there's like probably one person in this room who could be like that guy if he will train a lot. Well, the ancient Greeks, they were crazy about physical training, and they were sure that the body should follow the mind, and if you're smart, you should be strong. And if you're strong, you should be smart. And, well, they were crazy about physical training, right? They invented Olympic Games and all this stuff. This is a statue which is about 2,000 years old, a bit more. And this is a statue of Hercules, which is, according to the legend, was pretty strong dude. And despite the Greeks know exactly what the strong person looked like. Maybe they emphasize a bit. And he looks nothing close to the guy on the previous picture. So for Greeks, that was not important. This guy is strong. And yet, he looks very average according to our current standards for how your body should look like. He doesn't even have six-pack, I guess. And I guess, you know what, he probably doesn't care. And the same thing is here. You shouldn't care much about how people look at you, but you should care how you look at yourself. You could be a senior JavaScript architect in a big company. If you don't have the six-pack I was talking about, you should be upset. Your boss could be happy. His boss could be happy. Your wife could be happy. You should be upset. And you should be upset. You should try to change this. I don't want to look like that guy. I want to look like this guy. Because he doesn't look fit at all. He doesn't look, well, he looks okay, but he doesn't look as scary as he should look, right? Well, he kicked ass of Chuck Norris, come on. The Chuck Norris fact for you. And we should try to be like that, and our application should be like that. And I'm talking about JavaScript, but you could try to be like him in physical form as well. You should be, your application should be like that. Your level of control of the language should be like that. You should build applications which are strong. You should build applications which are agile. And you should build applications which are kick-ass. And you should do it now. Thank you.